Tuesday, November 18th, 2025, AGNDD intelliReport topic. Groypers. Please pardon any visual and informational inaccuracies in this entirely AI-generated article-based video. Discover the origins, memes, and online activities of Groypers, a far-right group led by Nick Fuentes, known for harassment and extremism. Summary of Groypers. Groypers are an online far-right community associated with Nick Fuentes and the America First movement. They are known for promoting white nationalism, anti-Semitism, and conservative politics, often engaging in online trolling and activism. In 2019, followers of Nick Fuentes adopted the name Groypers, sometimes called Nickers. The term derives from the Groyper meme, a cartoon amphibian resembling Pepe the Frog, depicted as a plump green frog-like figure with its chin on interlocked fingers. Debates exist on whether it's a Pepe variant, a related species, or a toad. The meme emerged in 2015 and gained traction by 2017. A 2018 study by computer scientists analyzing hateful Twitter speech noted Groyper images in avatars of anonymous, hateful accounts, which focused on politics, race, and religion. These users formed a connected community with high network centrality, not isolated individuals. That year, Right-Wing Watch reported Massachusetts congressional candidate Shiva Ayyadurai using a Groyper-inspired campaign pin to court far-right activists on platforms like 4chan, Gab, and Twitter. Groypers, a far-right online group, are highly active on X, formerly Twitter, often engaging in targeted harassment. According to the Financial Times, many use misleadingly mild bios, such as Christian conservative, to mask their extremist views. In April 2020, the Daily Dot reported that Nick Fuentes and other Groypers shifted to TikTok, live streaming and using the duet feature to counter Trump supporters. They notably harassed a left-wing teenage girl, starting on TikTok and extending to other platforms. Shortly after the article, Fuentes and several Groyper accounts were banned from TikTok. Groypers position themselves as champions of Christian conservatism, traditional values, and American nationalism, but their ideology starkly deviates from mainstream conservatism and the Republican Party. Instead of preserving institutions through prudent reform, they promote a racialized agenda fueled by xenophobia and resentment. They accuse conservative groups of lacking sufficient nationalism and pro-white focus, using entryism and gradual radicalization to push extreme ideas. Nick Fuentes describes Groypers as the GOP's right-wing flank, aiming to force Republicans into a truly reactionary party. In 2022, he called for a white uprising to reinstall Donald Trump indefinitely, ending elections and abolishing Congress. However, post-Trump's re-election, Fuentes deemed Trump 2.0 a total disappointment, criticizing his pro-Israel stance, failure to release Epstein files, and student visas for Chinese nationals. Groypers are a white nationalist, anti-Semitic, and homophobic movement centered around Nick Fuentes, often described as politics as fandom, where loyalty to him trumps ideology. The group lacks clear boundaries but opposes immigration, globalism, feminism, and LGBTQ rights while promoting traditional Christian values. They blame mainstream conservatives and the left for destroying white America and frequently use anti-Semitic dog whistles, such as references to the USS Liberty or dancing Israelis' conspiracy theories tied to 9/11. Fuentes has claimed oppression by the Jews, blaming them for anti-Semitism and warning of uglier consequences if they don't support his views. Questions from Groypers often target U.S.-Israel relations, immigration, affirmative action, and LGBTQ conservatives. After the 2025 assassination of Charlie Kirk, online conspiracies linked Groypers to the act, though Fuentes condemned the violence, urging supporters not to take up arms and calling it a nightmare. In September 2019, Turning Point USA, TPUSA, fired brand ambassador Ashley St. Clair after photos surfaced of her with alleged white nationalists like Nick Fuentes and Baked Alaska. TPUSA condemned white nationalism. At Politicon, Fuentes attempted to confront TPUSA founder Charlie Kirk, but was blocked by security, accusing Kirk of dodging criticism over weak conservative positions. In response, Fuentes launched the Groyper Wars, urging followers to disrupt Kirk's Culture War college tour with provocative questions on immigration, Israel, and LGBT issues. At an October 29 Ohio State event, Groypers dominated Quanda, asking about preserving white European ideals and mocking co-host Rob Smith's sexuality. TPUSA labeled the questioners white supremacists and anti-Semites. Conservative commentator Michelle Malkin defended Fuentes and criticized Kirk's immigration views, leading to her firing from Young America's Foundation. Malkin embraced a leadership role among Groypers. In November 2019, Groypers disrupted a Turning Point USA (TPUSA) event at UCLA promoting Donald Trump Jr.'s book Triggered, featuring Trump Jr., Charlie Kirk, and Kimberly Guilfoyle. Fearing questions from Nick Fuentes' followers, organizers canceled the Quanda, sparking heckling and boos from the pro-Trump crowd. The 2-hour event ended after just 30 minutes. The incident propelled the Groyper Wars into the media spotlight. Spectator USA's Chadwick Moore highlighted divisions among young conservatives, especially Gen Z, accusing TPUSA leaders of co-opting Trump's Make America Great Again agenda while holding conflicting views. Ben Sixsmith criticized TPUSA's hypocrisy, noting their avoidance of tough questions and use of insults contradicted their self-image as debate champions. Groypers, led by Nick Fuentes, broadened their heckling from Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA, TPUSA, to other mainstream conservative entities dubbed Conservative Inc., including Young America's Foundation and speakers like Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, and Jonah Goldberg. In December 2019, Fuentes confronted Shapiro outside a TPUSA event as Shapiro arrived with his wife and children, referencing past comments. Shapiro ignored him, leading to widespread backlash against Fuentes from figures like Nikki Haley, Meghan McCain, Sebastian Gorka, Megyn Kelly, and Michael Avenatti for involving Shapiro's family. Amid rising far-right scrutiny from Kirk's tactics, Shapiro addressed Stanford University, criticizing Fuentes, unnamed, and his followers as a repackaged alt-right movement. In December 2019, Nick Fuentes hosted the Groyper Leadership Summit in Florida, coinciding with TPUSA's Student Action Summit, SAS. A small in-person crowd attended, with others live-streaming. Groypers clashed with SAS attendees outside, and Fuentes, Patrick Casey, and others were ejected from the SAS venue. Speakers including Fuentes, Casey, and Jake Lloyd discussed Groyper strategy and ideology. In January 2020, a Groyper and former KSU TPUSA leader Jaden McNeil launched America First Students, inspired by the summit and tied to Fuentes' podcast. The group promotes Christian values, strong families, closed borders, and American workers, advancing the Groyper movement. In February 2020, Fuentes addressed rival events to CPAC, including one by National File featuring Alex Jones and Gavin McInnes. He also hosted the inaugural America First Political Action Conference with speakers like Casey, Scott Greer, and Michelle Malkin. Groypers, a far-right group, were notably involved in the January 6, 2021 U.S. Capitol attack, participating prominently in the initial assaults. While exact numbers remain unknown, several members were arrested. The Anti-Defamation League identified at least 10 Groypers or associated white supremacists among the rioters in February 2021. Leaders Nick Fuentes and Patrick Casey were present on the Capitol steps, celebrating the temporary halt of Congress proceedings, though neither has faced charges. In January 2022, both were subpoenaed by the U.S. House Select Committee investigating the attack, due to their alleged roles in its planning. Several individuals faced charges for their roles in the January 6, 2021 U.S. Capitol riot, with connections to the Groyper movement noted in some cases. Riley Williams of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, was convicted on 6 charges, including felony civil disorder, for invading Nancy Pelosi's office and stealing items, sentenced to 3 years in prison, 3 years probation, and fined. Christian Secor of Costa Mesa, California, who flew a Groyper flag, was convicted of obstruction, civil disorder, assault, and resisting arrest, sentenced to 42 months. Joseph Brody of Springfield, Virginia, and accomplices were convicted of assaulting officers with a barricade, resisting, and obstruction. David Dempsey of Los Angeles received 20 years for attacking officers. He apologized but flashed a Groyper sign post-sentencing. Thomas Carey, Pittsburgh, Ohio; Gabriel Chase, Gainesville, Florida; John Lysak, Cold Spring Harbor, New York; and Paul Ewald Lovely, Halethorpe, Maryland, pleaded guilty to demonstrating in the Capitol, each fined $500. Groyper influencer Antime Gionnet, Baked, Alaska, was arrested for live streaming the storming, wearing pit viper sunglasses adopted by Groypers. Tristan Sartor of Ruff's Dale, Pennsylvania, faced charges for entering a restricted building and impeding government business. In August 2024, far-right activist Nick Fuentes launched Groyper War II, a digital campaign targeting Donald Trump's presidential bid, echoing his 2019 efforts. Amid Trump's lagging polls, Fuentes mobilized followers to flood X and Truth Social with memes, edits, and trolls, demanding Trump adopt extreme positions on race and immigration, and fire advisors Chris LaCivita and Susie Wiles. He also threatened real-world escalation, including vote withholding and protests at rallies in battleground states. A researcher from the Institute for Strategic Dialogue warned that Fuentes' tactics could inspire sophisticated foreign election interference, given lax platform enforcement. Fuentes claimed credit for Trump's rehiring of Corey Lewandowski, though an anonymous Washington Post source noted it complicated Trump's campaign adjustments, making them appear as concessions to the Groypers. The Groyper movement, led by Nick Fuentes, has struggled to achieve political influence, with many supported politicians disavowing it. In 2021, Reverend Paul Gosar, who was the keynote at AF-PASI 2, disavowed Fuentes the next day at CPAC. At AF-PASI 3 in 2022, claimed speakers like Carrie Lake and Thomas Homan skipped the event and condemned Fuentes' views. Keynote Reverend Marjorie Taylor Greene later stated she was unaware of Fuentes and denounced him. Fuentes endorsed Joe Kent for Washington's 3rd District in the 2022 midterms, but Kent rejected it. Fuentes then launched an online campaign against him. Kent won the GOP nomination, ousting incumbent Jamie Herrera Butler, but lost narrowly to Democrat Marie Gluesenkamp Perez. Perez gained some Republican support amid scrutiny of Kent's ties and her shifts on issues like abortion, influenced by right-wing figures like Fuentes. Summary of AF-PAC 3 and associated political candidacies. Among AF-PAC 3 speakers who didn't withdraw support for Nick Fuentes, only Idaho Lieutenant Governor Janice McGeachin and Arizona State Senator Wendy Rogers sought major offices in 2022. Rogers won her competitive primary and re-election but faced censure for conference remarks inciting political violence. McGeachin lost the Idaho gubernatorial primary to incumbent Brad Little by 20 points. Fuentes and his Groyper movement backed Laura Loomer's bid for Florida's 11th congressional district. At her primary watch party, Fuentes joined Loomer in toasting a hostile takeover of the Republican Party amid early results favoring her. Ultimately, Loomer lost to Reverend Daniel Webster by 7 points and baselessly alleged voter fraud in a speech to supporters. In late 2022 and early 2023, the Groyper movement abandoned support for Donald Trump in favor of Kanye West's presidential bid. West introduced Nick Fuentes to Trump at a Mar-a-Lago dinner, sparking controversy. Trump later disavowed Fuentes. West's campaign featured Groyper figures like Milo Yiannopoulos, Ali Alexander, and streamer Sneeko. Groypers, including Cozy.tv streamers, amplified West's anti-Semitic rhetoric. Streamers. Dalton Clodfelter and Tyler Russell conducted campus events with Yeah Is Right, Change My Mind displays, mimicking Steven Crowder's tours, often facing protests from Jewish groups using music and chants. The tour ended after a month due to lost funding. On May 4, 2023, West fired Fuentes and Alexander amid the latter's sexual harassment scandal involving young men and underage boys. West rehired Yiannopoulos, who had split from Fuentes and leaked the allegations after initially denying them on InfoWars. Summary of references on the Groyper movement. The Groyper movement, led by Nick Fuentes, represents a youth-oriented far-right network promoting white nationalism under the America First banner. Hawley, 2021, examines its role in challenging the post-alt-right landscape. Van Schenk, 2023, analyzes deplatforming efforts against online reactionary networks amid racial capitalism. Quintal, 2022, explores similar Canada First propaganda on TikTok targeting youth. Connor et al., 2024, dissect Fuentes' triumphalist rhetoric in conspiracy contexts. Lorber, 2021, details the Groyper Army's mainstreaming of white nationalism. ISD, 2024, profiles Groypers as an extremist group. Katie, 2020, links far-right literature to real-world violence. Collectively, these sources highlight the movement's digital strategies, ideological evolution, and societal risks. In summary, Groypers exemplify how online memes and communities can fuel far-right extremism, evolving from niche forums to broader social media influence and harassment tactics.
Thank you for watching this AGNDD intelliReport, dear viewers. Please like, subscribe, and click the bell button to get notified during new uploads. And make sure to tune in next time. Stay safe and healthy. Cheers.